it's Shanda and Sonja Stribling. We're here to entertain you for the next 25 minutes, but also give you some education in the Yeah, She's Driven podcast. So here's the thing. We're doing this incredible series on Clubhouse and really who's using Clubhouse right now, how they're using it effectively. And I'm always in the conversation a little bit around how are you managing your time while you're doing it? Because it's like having a new baby. All of a sudden, there's a new thing that's on your plate that needs your attention or demands your attention. And let's be honest, Clubhouse demands our attention. So,
yes.
That being said, Sonja, welcome to the Yeah, She's Driven podcast. I love having you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
I know, it's so good. So I love your leadership on Clubhouse. I feel like this is the first time we're getting to see each other as we're recording this podcast, but I feel like I already know you. And that's one of the benefits of the app, right? Is that you can forge, at least I found forging just a good handful of good soul sister relationships. And even some guys that I've created some really nice relationships with that I don't think would have like moved that quick if it wasn't for the app.
Oh, absolutely.
So, tell us a little bit about you, and I want to know a little bit about you in the essence of what's like important to you right now in your life, and what do you do for a living?
Ooh, what's important to me in my life is more of my self-care for number one, because my background, United States military. So that was not a conversation that we had. So I'm learning a lot more about how important it is, especially as a business owner, because, I'm accustomed, honestly, and just let me go to just a little bit about myself so you understand where I am now and why I feel this way. So retired military, served my country for 21 years, but even before that time, just a troubling upbringing, which brought me to the military. Had a child at 15, raped and left for dead at 17. And I share that very boldly and openly because I want, the people that are listening to understand the things that I share, what I'm doing now. There has to be a platform or a foundation that got me here. And I don't want anybody to think, oh, you guys woke up like that. Like, no, I didn't wake up. So just having that life and that lifestyle prior to the military kind of shedded some light on why I needed to join and why I joined. So, I have 3 children. I had my first child at 15. I decided to retire because of my boys. And I went through a divorce after being married 18 years, Shanda, and I wanted to be a mom. I had been a mom, don't get me wrong. I gave birth to them, but I felt like I was always deployed. I was always working a lot. There was no conversation about self-care and thinking about taking care of yourself or just putting yourself first. So I retired after 21 years. I would have pretty much made general if I would have stayed in, but I didn't want to. I wanted to be a mom. I had a son in college and one in middle school. So I retired and I decided I was trying to figure out, what do I want to do when I grow up? Right? Combat veteran, all of that. And so what I decided to do, Shanda, if I may, just to bring it on home, I wanted to work for myself. I wanted to go to work at 12 and get off at 1, like 1 hour, but I wanted to be a stay-home mom. And I'd never seen that around me. And I was just desperately trying to figure out how to do that. But like anyone else, I wanted the security. I went and got a government job, hated it, which brought me into the profession in which I operate now, where I am a coach consultant, where I help women entrepreneurs and business owners really think about where they are and where they want to go in their business, and helping them create the type of life and lifestyle as a coach and as a speaker, just using their life experience and knowledge to build that 6 and 7 figure business.
Yeah, and you did a great job at it. And honestly, I think at least seeing you around the hallways of Clubhouse, that's what I'll let you guys, when you start following different clubs and different people, you have a hallway. It's like you turn on the app and it's like walking down the hallway, and seeing you in different rooms in the hallway and jumping in and hearing you speak and sharing some stages with you. You have a lot of grace and you have a lot of boldness, and it's interesting to pull those 2 qualities together. You know what I mean? And so I think that you're doing some really good work, and you're a real stand for people to be able to create financial freedom, and that it doesn't have to take a lifetime to be able to create millions, right?
Absolutely.
So powerful. So how have you been using the Clubhouse app?
Well, like many people, I would say, not to date this, but I started probably late, right before New Year's Day. Like it was a couple of days prior. And I'm like, oh, not another app. Oh my gosh. right? Like, it's like, oh, not another app. I don't want to do this. And because I had it probably 30 days prior. Someone's like, you need to get on. I was like, oh, I will eventually. And then I finally got on and it was like, whoa, what is this? And I had to get in line. And I said in line with, they can't see me. I don't have to put my lashes on. Oh, I could just talk and share. Whoa, this is pretty cool. So I quickly start diving into being on the rooms. And that's how I found you. And I'm truly grateful because it got the opportunity to build some amazing off the app relationships, and even just sharing the stages with many people that I probably would have never met you, never heard about you per se, but Clubhouse expedited that process. And so just being in those rooms and being in there and being able to share. And I want to touch on something that you said, and I'm hearing it and I hear it often, the grace and the boldness. That's very eloquently put. I've heard my masculinity and my femininity. How do you do that? I'm like, I don't know. I think it's me cognitively bringing it down a notch of being in the military, being a senior leader, being in combat and all of that. I'm very confident in who I am and what I bring to the table. But at the same time, remembering I am a woman at heart, right? I love pink now, I hate pink, but just really coming to that place of how do I do this in such a way and still be able to say what I need to say in such a confident and bold way.
Well, and remember, like, nobody can see us on the Clubhouse app, right? Or at least currently when we're recording this, who knows if they ever put that in, but nobody can see us. So it shows you how much your words matter. And the way in which you speak and the way in which you articulate yourself. And I urge people, as you're hearing me say that, like, you have your way, and the more you can be your authentic self, speak, the more it comes off right or not right, rubs somebody or doesn't rub somebody, right? And so, like, you can't, like, right now when we're recording this podcast, we can see you, or at least we can see each other. And I don't know if my team will upload the video or not, but like, you can see you're clearly elegant, you're clearly beautiful, you're clearly, you're gorgeous. And so, but when you can't see that and people are still getting that impression of you, that's the power of understanding who I am. Right. So let's talk a little bit about taking the stages in Clubhouse and knowing who I am. Like, what's some of your advice for people? Like, because I don't want my podcast to be all about you and me. I want it to be a place for people to take some education and go do something with it right now. So if you were going to challenge somebody to get on the stages of Clubhouse, maybe they're on Clubhouse right now and they're leading with all their credentials, right? I got the biggest slung in the room.
I love it.
Right. Or sometimes you could be a really, like, you don't even talk like that, but you get in a Clubhouse room and then that, because the room, like, etiquette is running like that. Right. So how do you walk into a room, or how would you recommend somebody walks into a room, Mrs. Teaching people how to speak, and grace these stages where they're themselves? How do you ground yourself in that?
Wow, that was so powerful. Just hearing you say that, and for the women, the folks that are listening, that is exactly what is done. You walk into a room being who you are, because guess what? So you don't have to change it later or remember, oh, I have to be this way in Shanda's room and have to be this way. It's like, no, just be who you are. So going through the hallway and looking for rooms to go in, I was there to share and add value. It wasn't just to learn. And I'll be honest, and I heard someone say it the other day, I wanted to add value because I truly believe there's a lot for all of you. You have something to share. Go find the rooms where you can share your message, not just your story, but share your message and help other people through their journey, whether it's relationships, business, life, or whatever it is. Just be you. And I know that's so cliche because everybody says just be you, but I don't think we realize, Shanda, how many people are struggling on Clubhouse with just that. But a lot of things are happening. People are being exposed for just being them. And when I say exposure, I don't mean it in always a bad way. They're just shedding light on who they really are. Like, you can't hide on Clubhouse. You can't hide your personality. You can't hide your thoughts, especially if you're sharing the way you should be. You just can't hide. And that's what I love about this platform. You can't hide. You get to be you. And whether people like it, great. If they love it, even better. But if they don't, that means, honestly, we have to really start thinking about who we are. So for those that are listening.
Oh my gosh, we have to do a room on this. We have to, I just had this vision of, like, have you had a moment yet on Clubhouse, like, oh, like that didn't come out right. Because I have. I have. I've had a moment on Clubhouse where I was like, I messaged my friend Kevin Nations. I was like, did I sound like, you know what I mean? And you know the rest of the word.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, no. And I'm like, that came off wrong. And I'm not, I'm a very confident person. I don't
Mm-hmm.
apologize for who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But like truly, you don't have time to think about
Yeah.
how you just are. Once you get comfortable in the app, you just become you. And I
Mm-hmm.
actually think, for me at least, it's this great moment of going, wow, there's areas of my personality that I think I could really up level. You know what I mean? Like I could really up level that. I think it'd be
Oh yeah.
such a good, like the forgiveness
Oh
room.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It was a room. But I think well, for me, when it happened, I was in the wrong room. I was in the room, bunch of guys. You know, sometimes I just want to relax. Like, I don't want to be business. I want to just relax. And I went into a room and they were talking about dating or something like that. And I asked a question. It's like, well, wait. And I was like, oh, that didn't come out right. Okay, guys, that's not what I meant. So I corrected it very quickly. And like, oh, okay. It's like, no, I'm tired. It's a long day. I just want to chat. I just want to be Sonja. I don't the credentials, as you say, follow me into the room, whatever, that doesn't matter. Can you bring value to the room is more important than anything. So yeah, that would be a great room. I'm in for that one for sure. That moment where you said something crazy, like, did I say, wait, I need to come back. I need to come back and explain that. That's not what I meant. But that's a good thing. And it makes you really start thinking about not, sitting there, Shanda, just think about, okay, I got to say this right. But it gives you the opportunity to start working even more on your character and who you are and how
Yeah.
you address things and meeting people exactly where they are.
Yeah, it's so good. And I could see a lot of healing happening on that if people could
Mm.
get over the posturing
Yes.
and just, getting into the posturing's big on Clubhouse right now. It's really big.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Who has the biggest, what on there is what's happening on some of those stages. Like, no, I don't want any of
well,
that. Let me go over here.
I had a room where when it first started, where it was as soon as I got comfortable, I was in a room and the women were just as strong at it and they were all good. I found myself leaving with my credentials and I'm not kidding you. I felt like I needed a bath. Like it was like I literally was like, that is not even like, do you know that half my friends don't know the size of my company?
Mm.
They don't know the size of our events.
Hmm.
They don't know any of it because I clubhouse my life, meaning that I'm just adding value wherever I can.
Hmm.
And so like Lee Richter before COVID hit came into one of my events. She was like, I never knew, like I've been friends with you for years. I never knew
I
that
was
there
in
were
that one.
thousands of people, right? And so she had no idea you were there. And
Hmm.
so like and like I just never talk about it. So Clubhouse was an interesting space because it's like you like nobody can see you. They don't know what you do. They don't, so how do you bridge that? How do you bridge
Well,
that when you come into a room?
Well, if I may, I had an idea, and I'm not the person. Let me go Google this person, right? But I followed right away because of your heart and how you were leading. That's what I needed to connect to more than anything, right? But when I remember the day I said something, I was like, "Yeah, I want to get to," because I think I asked a question. I want to get to my $1 million day, a $1 million month, and you quickly said, "Oh
Yeah.
no, we need to get you to your $1 million day." Like, oh, okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I meant. But the fact that you said it was like, yeah, she's doing something that she's really not sharing with people. She's very humble
Yeah.
on here, right? But then there's a flip side of that, Shanda, of what I've seen. I know just for me, being a woman and being a woman of color, it's almost like honestly, like sometimes I just can't show up that way. I can't just show up like, oh, this person and someone finds out. And I'm having to, and this is just a truth moment. I'm very transparent. I'm
Yeah.
having to deal with that side of things of well, many people don't know who you are. When you say military, it's go, okay. And then you get in other rooms and you have to really take it all in of, I don't have to pretend to be someone else. But, some people won't let you play per se when you go into particular rooms if you don't have that on your shoulder. So I'm now starting to shy away, not shy away like I don't want to be there, not be in those rooms where I have to pull out my stick and put it on the table like, bam, I'm this. But I want to be in a room where let me shed light and you'll figure out who I am later. When you see me here, you see me there. And like, oh, why didn't you tell us? Well, because it wasn't necessary at the time. I was here to add value. And so as you follow and you start to see what people are really doing, and I started to follow you as well. I'm like, okay, Shanna's been doing it big and she's over here keeping it quiet, but that's okay. I know better. I know now that she's actually amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know how to be any other way. Like it feels
Mhm.
weird to lead with something that's about me when that's not being
Mm.
asked of, you know? And so, anyway, so that is what it is. But I think you do a great job on Clubhouse and I think you're doing a great job. Let's talk about women and people of color because I think this is
Mm.
a powerful conversation.
Yeah.
Um, we added diversity training, which I hate that name because I
Right.
just unfortunately in our school systems, I don't know if you know this, but our governments are training into our school systems the segregation and
Hmm.
they're training at a very young age where like I believe that we actually need to have an inclusion conversation. We need
Hmm.
to just, you know what I mean? And so
Hmm.
one of the things that I love about what's been opened up is that there's just blind spots, right? There's just blind spots. Like there would be blind spots where like I knew somewhere you're supposed to have all different Asian,
Yeah.
people of color, like, Jewish, Persian,
Hmm.
like white people, like everybody should be on the
Right.
panel to
Right.
make it etiquettely right. But it doesn't always land that way. It just doesn't always land that way. And I love something you said in the other room, in a
Hmm.
room recently. People were messaging saying, are you the only person of color up on the stage? And you brought the pink elephant to the front of the room. And I
Hmm.
think there needs to be more leaders like that. Explain what happened there.
Well, it was happening a lot, and that was something I was I've been honestly, Shanda, when the pandemic happened. So I would travel the world speaking. I was just coming back last year from not New England, New Zealand and Australia, right? I'm like, where? New England and Australia. And I remember posting some things and women of color would comment, why are you always the only one on the stage? And I'm like, well, these are the folks that are inviting me to speak, per se, right? And I was doing the speaking and I had Facebook ads and things like that running, but I turned them up when COVID happened because I couldn't, those 50 plus events that I was booked for, I couldn't, couldn't
Ooh.
participate in those. And so we did Facebook ads, and a lot of women of color were starting to enroll in my program, right? And booking calls and all of that. And I started to notice it. And I was talking to my ads manager who was not a woman of color. And I was like, what's happening? Because I was new to this. Like, I'm retired
Yeah.
military. It's more diversity. There's things that are happening inside, but I wasn't accustomed to this. And so to bring it all home, women started to say, oh my gosh, there's a woman of color, a Black woman that looks like me that's doing Facebook ads. Who would have thought? Like something that simple that I never paid attention to. And so my programs and my coaching program went from majority of women who didn't look like me, 95% or more, to now 95, 98% that look like me, simply because of what they see on social media. And so I brought that pink elephant up because it's real, it's happening, and I can't just ignore it because women are asking me. And if I'm going to be the woman in the forefront, leading, I have to have these hard conversations that some of my peers may not like or agree with, or like, no, let's not talk about it. But let's talk about it so we can get resolution to
Well,
this. And so, go
Well,
ahead.
and you also said like you're also putting yourself out there. So when I had my son and I was breastfeeding at events, I'd have put the cover over and I'd breastfeed right on stage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, like my next big event, there were mamas and their babies all around my room. So it's amazing how marketing works because if you're being yourself, you're going to attract who you are in that season. And I
Mm-hmm.
really recognize that. But I also think there's somebody is starting a business or growing their clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sometimes you just don't know. Like my husband's
Yeah.
Persian. I don't know a lot of Persians. I know a lot of Persians from his family, but now I'm like, but like when I hang with them or do them Persian people come to me. Do you know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? It's like it's this interesting diversity where people are like so attracted to people who look like them. It's like you see the hot girl and her community's hot. You see the misfit and her community's a misfit. And I think we got these conversations because if we want to make
Mm-hmm.
change, then we also have to start saying, hey, part of the responsibility is to make friends.
Right. Absolutely.
And I think
Absolutely.
that's what you did so beautifully is like, hey, I'm out here making friends, guys.
Yeah.
Like, make yourself be known. Like, it's not even as much about being good as it is
Mhm.
about being a good person.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
And it's the network. We all creating our networks and creating the people we authentically like. It requires us to get in the view of seeing each other. So
Mhm.
I adore you. I wish you lived here. I wish we could like go up for
Are we
coffee
in
tonight.
California? Yeah, like, hey, I'm gonna make some trips to California. It's at
You
least it's
should.
not 28 degrees. I'm in Atlanta. It's 20. It may be 30. It may be 40 today. I don't know what's going on. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I showed you outside my window. It's beautiful sunny ocean right now.
I mean, I'm looking at the pool. I'm looking at the water. It's beautiful outside, but it is cold. That's why they can't see me, but I have a sweater on right now. Like, it's cold outside for
Oh, it's
sure.
so funny. It's so funny. Okay. So let's kind of wrap this down. So if you were to give some people just what is the biggest thing at this point to date that you've learned between your business and Clubhouse? Like have you been able to monetize it? If
Oh,
so, how?
absolutely. Yeah,
Share with
I
us.
have. Um, at the beginning, it wasn't intentional. It was just you're sharing your information. People are reading your bio. Of course, your bio needs to be up to par, really explaining and sharing what it is that you do. There should be a way for them to connect with you, Twitter, Instagram, or whatever. And they may, by the time you all watch this or later, they may have added up other things to it. But
Yeah.
having the bio, having a place where people can go and learn even more outside of social media. And so I have links that take them to booking strategy sessions with my client or with my coaches. I have links where they attend a virtual event. I have links that take them somewhere because I do understand, and being able to monetize on social on Clubhouse was not a thought I had until I was on there probably 2 weeks and we had enrolled 10 new clients. Like, it was just like that. And they were just happening because people are looking for more and they're looking for someone to help them. And if you're true and authentic to who you are and you've had success and helped other people, people want to work with you, right? And so just making sure you have those connections to who it is that you are and how you serve people. I say serve, not just coach and all of that. How do you serve people? I truly believe it is a slam dunk for people to really expand their business, their messaging, being speakers and coaches and authors and all of that on Clubhouse. I believe it's really going to change the game. A year from now, we're going to look and it's like, oh, I was at the beginning, right, Shanda? We were at the beginning of this. And so all of you listening, be at the beginning of something. I know a lot of us have missed out on some of the things we could have done in the past. Oh, I'll just wait. Let me check it out. No, this is the first time I jumped on board 30 days later, but jumped on board early. And I'm so grateful that I did because I've been able to build such a relationship with yourself and some of the other people that I've met. So start making the connections now and don't be afraid to reach out to people and say, hey, can you help me? Or what do I do with this? In such a way of you really want the help and not just inquiring just to, I don't want to say waste people time, their time, but be
I get it.
intentional about be intentional about what it is that you want from Clubhouse.
Yeah, it's powerful when people actually reach out to you and ask you a question that they know that you can help them with, and
Mhm.
now you have a real dialogue going on, and you're providing an opportunity for someone to give you value, and
Yeah,
that is as much of a blessing. Like being a good receiver is as much of a
yeah,
blessing as being a great giver, and
yeah.
so I agree with you 100%. Awesome, Sonja. We are going to put your Instagram below in the
Okay.
show notes, and we're going to put your house picture and bio. Of course, you guys, her picture and bio may have changed by the time you watch this or may not. Hopefully you're watching this even a year later, and hopefully we're just all just so happy about jumping on Clubhouse. Sonja, it's been such a blessing getting to know you so far. I really believe that we are going to forge a great friendship. I really do. Sometimes you meet people that you just have a gut instinct about. You have that
Yeah.
gut instinct about you.
Thank
And
you.
and it just was a pleasure being with you on the Yeah, She's Driven podcast. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and your
Thank you.
grace and boldness, woman.
Thank you. Like attracts like, right? I'm surrounding myself by other bold women like yourself. So thank you so much for having me. And thank you for being who you are as well.
Yeah, back at you. All right, you guys, this is the end of the Yeah, She's Driven podcast. You can go and look below for all the show notes. Hopefully we've done a great job at, transcribing and putting some different pieces in there for you to just have a better experience with our podcast. As always, we would love you to take a moment and just write a review. I mean, if we don't ask, people don't do it. So we're going to write a review. Please take a moment, write a review, and send it to somebody who needs to hear this. All right, you guys. Talk soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.